By the summer of 2005, 20-year-old Kyle Busch has already picked up 3 wins in ARCA, 2 in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and 6 in the Busch Series. 5 of those Busch wins came during an electrifying championship bid in 2004, in which he came up just short of beating Martin Truex Jr. The next day, at the same Homestead track, older brother Kurt Busch won the first chase for the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series championship. To clinch his first and only series title, Kurt had to stay in touch with Jimmie Johnson and Jeff Gordon, who whistled past him in a furious charge toward the lead, but couldn't catch Greg Biffle. Just 7 years earlier, a 13-year-old Kyle Busch brought 3 bags of merchandise to Gordon's autograph session. Now, in 2005, he's become one of Gordon's 3 teammates at Hendrick Motorsports, driving a new blue and yellow scheme for the team's founding number 5. Kyle's ascent hasn't been without its pitfalls. He was supposed to make his Cup debut in the final Winston Cup race ever run, the 2003 Ford 400. But a technical infraction led to NASCAR confiscating his car, and without a backup, his team withdrew. Hendrick then secured him a part-time deal for 2004, this time running the number 84 with sponsorship from CarQuest. Even in a year of underfunded field fillers, Kyle only qualified for 6 of the 9 races he entered and failed to finish 4 of those 6. Among those was his first last-place finish, which came in the fall race at Atlanta. And so on October 12th, when Terry Labonte said he would scale back to a part-time schedule for 2005, there were rumblings from some that Kyle Busch was not ready for Nextel Cup. The doubters watched him closely. The media wrote articles about fluke runs and the long shadow of his champion brother. This clashed sharply with how supportive the 2 brothers remained of each other, both on and off the track. Kurt frequently warned everyone not to underestimate his brother, who he nicknamed Shrub. "The kid's got better skills than I do and is ready to do it," said Kurt. "I think he is going to be a better racer, but he just has to put things into place. The biggest thing I could share with him is the mentor side of it, the things that I have done wrong, and tell him about it afterwards. I want to make sure he is not overwhelmed, but he has a great support staff at Hendrick Motorsports."
He gets to learn from a different group of guys than I learned from. We're at Roush, he's at Hendrick. And then it's cool because we keep the numbers away from the conversations. And I can relate to him about certain circumstances that I've seen. And he's done the same thing with me and what he's seen over there. And it can make us better, both in the long run, I believe.
Kyle set clear goals for 2005. He wanted to earn a pole, grab several top 5 finishes, win a race, and finish top 20 in points. He started going through his list early. In only the 3rd race of the season, at the Busch family's home track in Las Vegas, Kyle stood at 60-1 odds when he fought a tight-handling car to a 2nd-place finish, less than 2 seconds behind Jimmie Johnson. But again, an asterisk. In post-race inspection, Kyle's rear quarter panel measured too high. This resulted in fines to his crew chief Alan Gustafson, a 5-year engineer just recently promoted to the pit box, and a penalty of 25 driver and owner points. Kyle responded, leading 8 laps at Phoenix, 55 in the Coca-Cola 600, and 90 at Dover, where again he finished in 2nd, this time to Greg Biffle, and this time passed inspection.
You look like an old man out there.
Thanks, sir.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Good job to you, too. It's fun racing with you.
It's amazing how you can look like you've been doing it for 15 years.
Thank you.
You and your brother both.
Thank you, sir.
But in between, there were still lessons to learn. He was collected in a crash just 26 laps into his first Daytona 500. He wrecked while coming up to speed for his qualifying lap in Atlanta, and nearly did it again at Phoenix. At Bristol, he spun coming onto the track for practice, then crashed twice in the first 68 laps of the race. He overheated in Martinsville, was swept up in the big one in Talladega, and battled into the top 5 at Darlington before a cut tire put him into the wall. He started outside pole in the Nextel Open, but failed to make the All-Star race. At Sears Point, his transmission failed leaving pit road. Returning to Daytona in July, he got stuck in the muddy infield after a pileup. At Pocono, he lost the brakes and backed into the wall in turn 1. At Michigan in August, where he debuted a new look to his primary scheme, rain during his warm-up lap gave him a second chance at qualifying. He capitalized on this, qualified fourth, and on Sunday led 28 laps. But by leading, he ended up picking up so much debris that he overheated, leaving him in last place once again.
Do you think you might have been looking at your first win with this car today?
Definitely, for sure. And I think we're building a new one for California, and if it doesn't get done in time, we're taking this one there. So I think we'll be decent out there.
After running 6 different paint schemes, including movie tie-ins for both Robots and Star Wars Episode 3, Kyle carried Johnny Bravo on the hood of his car for the night race at Bristol. The evening began racing radio-controlled cars against LeBron James. It ended after a pair of spins, marking his 4th finish of 33rd or worse in the last 5 races. And so, with just 2 races until the start of NASCAR's second chase for the Nextel Cup Championship, Kyle ranks just 22nd in points, an insurmountable 406 points behind 10th place Gordon. For Kyle, these last 12 weeks of the season will be less about battling for Rookie of the Year, where he already holds a commanding lead over Travis Kvapil. They also won't be about switching to another team, even after rumors still swirl in the aftermath of brother Kurt's impending jump to Penske Racing. It will be about building momentum for his sophomore season. For that purpose, the next race on the schedule is the perfect venue. The California Speedway is already one of Kyle's best tracks. It was here in 2001 that he ran fastest in opening practice for the Truck Series race, but the then 16-year-old was barred from competition due to a conflict with event sponsor Marlboro Cigarettes. It was here in 2004, when Kyle struggled in nearly all his first Cup starts, that he scored his first lead lap finish. And it was here just 7 months ago, in the Auto Club 500, that Kyle shattered both the track record and age record, becoming the youngest pole sitter of a Cup Series race in 53 years. So young, he couldn't even drink Pole Award sponsor Budweiser. He finished just 23rd that Sunday, but only after leading the first 2 laps he'd lead in his Cup Series career.
Oh, and it will not be the last. That young man is so talented, just like his brother.
Another 19,484 to be exact. It may not seem like it, but for the first time in his NASCAR Nextel Cup career, Kyle Busch is the man to beat.
White flag, last lap at Bristol. Half a mile to go.
Boy, Burton threw it in there hard, didn't he?
He's trying as hard as he possibly can to catch that 17 car, but he's not going to be able to do it.
He's not. Matt Kenseth wins at Bristol.
The week begins the day after an exhausting Sharpie 500 at Bristol, where Matt Kenseth wins the pole, leads 415 of 500 laps, and scores his first win of the season, ending a 57-race losing streak. Among those celebrating is his spotter, Mike Kalanoff, who is reportedly leaving Roush at the end of the season to spot for Chip Ganassi Racing. Kenseth's win caps off a rally that began at Michigan in June. In those 10 races, the number 17 DeWalt Ford climbed from 24th to 11th in points, closing from 320 points out of the chase to just 11. A chase field that already includes all 4 of his Roush Racing teammates: Greg Biffle in 3rd, Mark Martin in 5th, Kurt Busch in 7th, and in his first full-time season, Carl Edwards in 8th. Some are already despairing over the possibility that one team will consume half the available playoff spots, especially when they look at who might get left out. Holding that 10th spot ahead of Kenseth is Jeff Gordon, whose 6th-place finish in Bristol was just enough to put him back into the top 10 for the first time since Pocono in June, 1 week before Kenseth's rally began. It's been a wildly inconsistent season for the Daytona 500 winner, who's become visibly agitated over his poor performance. He crashed out of 3 straight races over the summer. One of these wrecks reignited his rivalry with Tony Stewart, who put Gordon into the wall at Dover. "I guarantee that the next time Tony's in my way," said Gordon, "it won't take but about half a lap for him to be out of my way." Stewart responded, "That's fine, we can get into a crash. If somebody does something to Jeff, it's always their fault. Jeff's always whining like that. It seems like he feels the rules are different with him." Gordon turned out to be little more than a speed bump to Stewart, who along with early season point leader Jimmy Johnson have held back the Roush onslaught. 2 races after Dover, starting with a runner-up finish to Greg Biffle at Michigan, Stewart tore off a streak of 10 consecutive top 10 finishes. Half of these were wins, including his emotional first Brickyard 400. This, combined with point leader Johnson's crash, vaulted Stewart to the top of the point standings. Incredibly, Stewart was winless until the 16th race of the year at Sears Point, and only won that race by holding his car in gear as he tracked down and passed Ricky Rudd. Leaving Bristol, Stewart mathematically locks himself into the chase field, along with second-place Johnson and Biffle in third. Rusty Wallace wanted badly to win his 10th career Bristol race during his retirement tour called Rusty's Last Call, but with his 5th-place finish, Rusty comes away with enough points to also secure his chase spot simply by firing his engine in Fontana. His team has brought a new car, which he tested at Indianapolis, but Rusty forgot to tell his crew to adjust its rather uncomfortable seat. Languishing behind in points is Dale Earnhardt Jr., whose own turbulent season at Dale Earnhardt Incorporated sees him just 15th in points with a single win at Chicagoland. Still 117 points behind Gordon under the Latford points system, Jr. is running out of time and now faces a track where he ran 32nd in February and crashed twice for a 34th place run the previous fall. This leaves open the very real possibility of 2 of the series' most popular drivers, Jr. and Gordon, not having a chance at the championship. Already, there are rumblings about expanding the chase field. But most of the buzz from Bristol revolves around what took place in the closing laps. Coming into that race, Ryan Newman and his number 12 Alltel Dodge held the 8th spot in the chase, 122 points to the good. On the other side was Dale Jarrett, whose number 88 UPS Ford arrived 11th in points, needing to close a 51-point gap on 10th place Jamie McMurray and Ganassi's number 42 Texaco Haviland Dodge. On lap 301, Jarrett and Newman crossed paths.
Oh, here we go.
Back is looking fine now, but the 12th car gets in the back of the 88. Up the hill he goes, into the outside retaining wall.
Usually lose rear traction when the rear tires are pulled off the racetrack.
You do?
Yeah.
Then, shortly after the restart, they cross again.
Dale Jarrett, the 88 car, evidently that crashed. Oh, he gets into the 12th car. Oh!
Would that be payback?
I guess that's a payback.
Oh, Kevin Harvick. Oh, see now, that's what happens when you pay a guy back sometimes. You take out some other guys that shouldn't be involved in it.
Jarrett is parked for 2 laps and limps home in 31st. With only 4 drivers out of the race at the time of the accident, Harvick is done for the night in 37th, along with Newman in 39th. When the dust settles, Newman leaves Bristol 9th in the standings, now just 31 points from being bumped out altogether. Jarrett, who refuses to comment on the accident, now brackets Jr. in 14th, along with Harvick now 16th. Harvick's fortunes have also faded. He's finished 15th or worse in 9 of the last 10 Cup races and voices so much of his frustrations that some wonder if he'll leave Richard Childress Racing. Some consider races like Bristol to be an indicator of the chase format's success and look forward to more chaos in these final 2 races of the regular season. The public seems to like it too. TV ratings for TNT's broadcast of the Bristol race were up 15% from the 2004 running. The goal of the chase was threefold, wrote Liz Clarke: encourage more aggressive racing as the season wound down, prevent runaway championships that had brought previous seasons to an anticlimactic thud, and limit the ratings drain when the NFL kicked off Sundays in the fall. Others expressed concern that the chase and NASCAR's youth movement are both to blame for an uptick in aggression and accidents. This includes the always outspoken Jimmy Spencer, who says, quote, "I think car owners are trying to convince themselves they got the next Casey Kane, the next Ryan Newman, the next Tony Stewart, but they ain't. They're moving these guys up way too quick. They don't have the experience. They have no clue." Also speaking out is Greg Biffle, who was one of the season's biggest free agents before he signed an extension with Roush. A couple of young guys came in and did really well, so everybody thought, okay, all these young guys are the new thing, he says. Everybody hired these young guys and booted out the other guys. Now the young guys can't win races and aren't doing anything. Now all of a sudden it's like, okay, now who are we going to get? One of the major retail chain sponsors in the garage area can't win a race, so they're ready for the next best thing. And that may be a guy that's got more experience. It's going to be like this for the next few years. It's going to be good for drivers because there is a shortage of drivers. Undaunted, Joe Gibbs Racing is about to make a critical decision for their new third team, the number 11 FedEx Chevrolet. The team made its full-time debut in 2005 with Jason Leffler, who after a series of poor performances was let go after Indianapolis. Terry Labonte drove the next 3 races, including at Bristol. Denying rumors that FedEx will become Bobby Labonte's new sponsor of the number 18, the team's deciding which of their young Busch Series drivers will drive it next, J.J. Yaley or Denny Hamlin. Gibbs chooses Yaley to make his third career Cup start in Sunday's race. Hamlin will make his series debut 5 races later in Kansas. The team has also just recently signed a development driver, 15-year-old Joey Logano. Monday is the first of 3 days of testing at Richmond for the upcoming Chase Cutoff race. Kyle Busch participates in the first day, along with Michael Waltrip, Matt Kenseth, Jeremy Mayfield, Jamie McMurray, and David Green, who tests Jeff Gordon's car. In an article published the previous day, writer Nate Ryan pushes for Richmond to host the NASCAR Hall of Fame, pointing to how little excitement there was for building it in Kansas. Meanwhile, the North Carolina Motorsports Hall of Fame announces they'll be inducting both David Pearson and Robert Yates in October. Behind the scenes, big money moves are being made. ISC and SMI buy out souvenir company Action Performance for an estimated $245 million, or $13 a share, forming a new company called Motorsports Authentics. NASCAR President Bryan says NASCAR fans bought $2.1 billion of licensed merchandise in 2004, and just now introduces a line of NASCAR licensed hot dogs and other meat products. A new NASCAR commercial is set to play in movie theaters starting on Friday. The ad features the Rolling Stones with their new single Driving Too Fast from their upcoming album A Bigger Bang. With a new TV contract set to begin after 2006, France is also pushing for double-digit fee increases from NBC and TNT. So far, both networks have scoffed at his numbers, opening the possibility that ABC and ESPN will return to the sport. France also denies a rumor that he's stepping down from the sport to start a new NFL franchise in Los Angeles. He says he's focused on the upcoming rollout to the car of tomorrow, on diversity efforts, and on expanding the sport internationally, as the Busch Series had just that year raced in Mexico City for the first time. Amid all these ambitions, Dale Jarrett offers a warning. The one thing NASCAR needs to make sure it doesn't lose is the competition level, he says. That's what attracts people to our sport. But it's also a sobering and tragic day. In the Gulf Coast, thousands of American citizens are left to fight for their lives after Hurricane Katrina makes landfall, devastating New Orleans and the surrounding communities. A natural disaster made worse by failures in leadership, the resulting humanitarian crisis will dominate headlines for weeks to come. As NASCAR coordinates its own response to Katrina by teaming up with the American Red Cross, the sport is also mourning the recent passing of some of its own pioneers. 2 weeks ago, Clifton Cuckoo Marlin died at his home in Tennessee. His son Sterling doesn't compete that weekend in Watkins Glen, handing the wheel to Scott Pruitt. On Monday, Joe Epton, NASCAR's first chief scorer from 1947 to 1985, dies at age 85. And now on Tuesday, Al Rudd Sr., father of Ricky Rudd, dies after a lengthy illness at age 80. Rudd does plan to drive the Wood brothers forward in Sunday's race, which will mark the 777th consecutive start of his Cup Series career, which dates back to Riverside in January of 1981. But he won't practice and qualify the car. That duty will go to John Wood, then competing in his first full-time Busch Series season. The car arrives in California bearing rookie stripes and a tribute decal to Al Rudd on the rear deck lid. Though he's helped out as a test driver, Wood will become the first member of his family to drive their Cup car in competition since Glenn Wood back in 1964. For the next 2 days, most of the other NASCAR Nextel Cup Series drivers are in and around the Los Angeles area for various appearances in the lead-up to the Sony HD 500. In Pomona, Tony Stewart participates in the building of a playground at the local YMCA. It's the 5th of 10 such builds in collaboration with a company called Kaboom, which will sponsor his number 20 for Sunday. In Huntington Beach, Casey Mears tackles the waves with professional surfer Pat O'Connell, who Mears then gives a ride around the California Speedway. Michael Waltrip drives his Napa Chevrolet to the Staples Center, where he gives LA Mayor Antonio Villagrosa a ride to City Hall. J.J. Yaley meets with kids at the Los Angeles Boys and Girls Club for a special racing camp where they race radio-controlled cars. Several other drivers attend a youth outreach program at the Magic Johnson Theater in Inglewood, where children receive NASCAR-themed goodie bags after a screening of the recent Disney film Herbie Fully Loaded. Jeff Gordon will make a stop at NBC Studios for a filming of the Ellen DeGeneres Show. Gordon becomes the first NASCAR driver to appear on the show, but only after Jamie McMurray and Casey Mears were bumped from a taping back in February. At a Lowe's franchise near the track, Jimmy Johnson unveils a new paint scheme he'll run in 2006, the first change to his paint scheme of the number 48. Reports say the judges did not know that the scheme had been designed by a 14-year Lowe's employee named Bryan Turnmeyer, a production artist at the company's corporate office in Mooresville, North Carolina. Others haven't quite made it there yet. On Wednesday, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is at the Texas Motor Speedway, where he participates in a pursuit training exercise with members of the Roanoke Police Department. Jr. drives a silver 2005 Chevrolet Corvette as he tries to elude a pair of squad cars. Still other drivers are testing in anticipation of the chase opener in New Hampshire. While Mark Martin and Scott Riggs test at Loudon, the Richard Childress Racing teammates of Dave Blaney and Jeff Burton turn laps at the Milwaukee Mile, where Kevin Harvick will run the following Monday. By Friday, the rumor mill is again in full swing. Despite escalating gas prices made worse by Hurricane Katrina, NASCAR says they won't be shortening any of their races, as they had during the OPEC crisis in the 1970s. There's also word that NASCAR will introduce a new nose for the Dodge Charger in 2006, looking to help a manufacturer that to this point has only 2 wins in 2005, one each by the Evernham cars of Casey Kane and Jeremy Mayfield. In what's been a down year for Chip Ganassi Racing with Felix Sabates, there's word that Sterling Marlin will leave that team and move to MB2 Motorsports, where he'll drive the number 35. Jay Fry, MB2's general manager, confirms Marlin is on the shortlist for 2006. Sebastian Bourdais, well on his way to a second straight Champ Car title, says he's considering a move to NASCAR because he's enjoyed competing in the International Race of Champions. There's also talk of new teams joining the Nextel Cup Series. One Hollywood-themed rumor is a partnership involving the Wayans brothers and Sean W. Hawley. The three have formed a company called Star Motorsports Incorporated, which seeks to field a Nextel Cup car in 2006 under the name Star Team Wayans. While this team does not come together, another will. It's on this same day that Troy Aikman and Roger Staubach, both famous quarterbacks of the Dallas Cowboys, announced the formation of Hall of Fame Racing. The two confirmed that they've been working on the deal since 2003 and now have both a 3-year sponsor in Texas Instruments and a technical partnership with Joe Gibbs Racing. What they don't have yet is a driver or a car number. They already know they can't run either of their jersey numbers, as Junior drives Aikman's number 8 and Biffle is in Staubach's number 16. At last, attention turns to the 45 NASCAR Nextel Cup Series drivers who will attempt Sunday's 43-car field. This is a noticeable drop from the 49 teams entered the previous week in Bristol. The teams not making the long trip west are Michael Waltrip Racing's number 00 for driver Johnny Benson, Phoenix Racing's number 09 for Johnny Sauter, Arnold Motorsports number 50 for Jimmy Spencer, Rinaldi Racing's number 75 for Wayne Anderson, McGlynn Racing's number 80 for Carl Long, Morgan Shepherd in his number 89, and Stanton Barrett in his number 95. 3 other teams are making their own return to action. MB2 Motorsports fields their part-time third entry, the number 36 Centrix Financial Chevrolet, for road racer Boris Said. Said finished third in his most recent start at Watkins Glen, but this will be his 6th oval start of the year and 2nd in a row in this race, where he finished 30th in 2004. This race also sees Competitive Edge Motorsports bring Stuart Kirby, the number 51 Marathon Oil Chevrolet, seeking Kirby's 4th start of the year and first since a crash left him 41st 2 races ago in Michigan. Last of the trio is Bill Elliott, who for a 2nd straight season continues a part-time schedule with help from Evernham Motorsports. Elliott also returns for the first time since the August race in Michigan, where he finished a season-best 11th. He also reunites with sponsor McDonald's, which has become an associate sponsor for Evernham's 2 cars and of TNT's upcoming broadcast, and has also announced they will be making donations to the Katrina effort. Days earlier, it was announced that Elliott's team will become Scott Riggs' new ride for 2006. In the meantime, Elliott will run both this race and the fall race in Texas. Among the full-time teams, there's only one driver change besides J.J. Yaley stepping in for Terry Labonte in the FedEx car. Morgan McClure Motorsports brings back John Andretti, who qualified their number 4 Lucas Oil Products Chevrolet into the race at Michigan and finished in 28th. This time, the team's number 4 carries associate backing from Wide Open Energy Drink. It also carries a logo for the Los Angeles Dodgers on the rear deck lid. Team owner Larry McClure, a longtime Dodgers fan, is elated that manager Tommy Lasorda will be Sunday's honorary starter and has arranged to visit. There's also a few special paint schemes. Bobby Labonte has not benefited from the success of his teammate Tony Stewart. In fact, he's enduring the worst season of his career so far, which on Sunday will reach 425 consecutive starts dating back to the 1993 Daytona 500. Winless and 24th in points, Labonte carries backing from GlaxoSmithKline as part of an asthma awareness program. The company sets up a clinic in Souvenir Alley for fans to assess the seriousness of their symptoms. Labonte was supposed to have a brand new car, but his crew couldn't finish it in time. He instead runs the same car from Michigan, which was also the car that lost a photo finish to Jimmy Johnson in the Coca-Cola 600. Jeff Green, who will continue to drive for Petty Enterprises in 2006, runs the Wheaties car. For each lap he completes, Wheaties will donate $43 to The First Tee, a golf-based youth outreach initiative, and will double the total if he wins. He runs a brand new car that's been tested at Kentucky and at Dover. Ken Schrader carries sponsorship from Red Baron Frozen Pizza, which also backed him at Junie Dunleavy's team in 1987 and returned in 2004 thanks to a connection with BAM Racing sponsor Schwann's Consumer Brands. Schrader, who finished 11th at Bristol after battling inside the top 10, is close to signing a contract extension with the team. Even Mike Garvey at the struggling Jeff Steck team has a new associate backer from Intune TV, a children's musical education show airing on the UPN network. Joe Nemechek, the inaugural Fontana pole sitter, led 63 laps of the February race before a blown engine, then at Michigan in August won the pole and led 30 laps before he finished 8th. Instead of running either of these cars, Nemechek will run a brand new number 01 U.S. Army Chevrolet and has the Michigan car on standby as his backup. Dale Jarrett also brings a brand new car in his bid to make the Chase field. Matt Kenseth runs the car that he ran at both Chicagoland and the recent Michigan race. In the latter, Kenseth was set to retake the lead if all the drivers gambling on fuel ran out before the finish. To his dismay, Jeremy Mayfield scored the final win of his Cup Series career over Scott Riggs, leaving Kenseth a frustrated third. Kyle Busch's team had planned on building a new car, brings their Michigan car as well. Also running their cars from Michigan are Jamie McMurray, Kurt Busch, and Robbie Gordon. Returning to an owner-driver role in 2005, Robbie was running 6th at Michigan before his engine let go. That car, sponsored by Menards, has now been repainted and is sponsored by Fruit of the Loom. During the weekend, Robbie drives his customized dune buggy to the track. On his way there, he's pulled over by the San Bernardino County Sheriff, who isn't sure whether the buggy is street legal. Robbie provides his papers and his license plate, which reads 1 Baja. He's let go and returns to the garage. Both Tony Stewart and Casey Kane are running the cars with which they battled for the win in the previous month's Brickyard 400. While Stewart runs a special paint scheme in conjunction with his charitable efforts, Kane runs the same white scheme from Indianapolis with red racing stripes. Stewart's team insists they aren't running any experimental setups on his car and are running it exactly as they had at the Brickyard. Michael Waltrip's number 15 Napa Chevrolet is a car he ran at both Indianapolis and the July race at Pocono. The team had planned on running his car from the June Pocono race, but that car was wiped out in a wreck. Greg Biffle, who boldly predicted he'd lead the spring Fontana race by lap 5, then took it on lap 4 and went on to win, is running his favorite chassis, number 239, which he'd also driven to at least 2 wins. For the weekend, Goodyear brings the same tire that was run at Fontana in February, a tire that had been run just twice since then, the June race in Michigan and at Chicagoland in July. The estimated tire run for Sunday will be between 48 and 52 laps. Teams are given 3 sets to use between both practices and qualifying, not counting their sets for Sunday. Also, after higher than expected RPMs in the spring race, NASCAR has instituted a higher gear rule to bring them back down again. At 6 p.m. local time, these drivers participate in their first of 2 practice sessions. This one will run for an hour and 40 minutes. When it's over, Jeff Gordon is fastest over Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Mark Martin, and Greg Biffle. Kyle Busch ranks 9th. John Wood, driving Ricky Rudd's car, is slowest overall, 1.651 seconds off Gordon's time. He finds the biggest adjustment is dealing with a smaller rear spoiler than what is used on the Busch cars. Kevin Harvick is pleased with how his car runs in race trim, even though he's just 31st overall. Meanwhile, Jamie McMurray struggles so much in 29th that his team decides to ditch their qualifying setup and focus on race runs the next morning in happy hour. During Trackside Live on Friday night, fans in attendance raised $1,400 to the American Red Cross for Katrina relief. Caterpillar, Scott Wimmer's sponsor, sends pallets of their generators to the disaster zone, while at the track they display some of their vintage farm equipment. Finally, the Winston West Series takes to the track for the Relocate Here 200 by San Bernardino County. David Gilliland wins the pole and leads 46 laps before his transmission fails, leaving him in 16th. Taking the checkered flag is Bernie Lamar, who drives for Kevin Harvick Incorporated. It's Lamar's second series win, soon to be followed by his debuts in ARCA, the Truck Series, and the Busch Series later that fall.
Welcome to the California Speedway in Fontana, California, where you will watch final practice for Sunday's race on this 2-mile oval.
Saturday begins with happy hour, where the booth predicts teams will use this session to make qualifying runs, particularly in the closing minutes. Early in the session, Jeff Burton is fastest over Scott Riggs, and Burton will later make a qualifying run of his own to rank 8th by the end of the session. About 20 minutes in, Jeff Gordon sets out to make his own qualifying run, the nose of his car completely sealed with tape. He jumps to the top spot, then while preparing to make a short race run, says he doesn't have the best car, but one of them. A few minutes later, Kyle Busch jumps to second, but feels he can't arc his car into the corner as aggressively as Carl Edwards. Edwards considers skipping this session after he ran so well in opening practice, but still turns some laps on scuffed tires. Even on old tires, Edwards still makes it to second, bumping Kyle to third. Tony Stewart says his car is comfortable, but not as fast as he'd like, so he switches to race trim and puts up the 12th best time. Casey Kane also says his car is not fast enough, the rear end not secure enough on the track, and he languishes a distant 37th on the charts. Greg Biffle is so loose that he has to bail out of his qualifying run. He comes into the garage for an air pressure adjustment and tape pulled from his car's nose. His crew replaces a right front spring that felt like it was binding on his last run. Even then, he only ranks 22nd. Nearby, teammate Kurt Busch is also a little loose. After running slow in opening practice, he now comes in for a shock change as the crew cools the engine. He winds up 23rd. Kevin Harvick isn't nearly as happy with his car as he was in opening practice, even as he holds 26th, but he tries not to let his frustrations show after his outburst at Bristol. Neither is Dale Earnhardt Jr., whose qualifying run is interrupted by heavy traffic. He focuses on race runs, but ranks a distant 42nd. Dale Jarrett also struggles to find speed, even with Robert Yates Racing's engines as strong as they've ever been. By the end of the session, he's only 38th. Jimmy Johnson ranks just 25th, but isn't concerned as he looks for a smoother ride and idly wonders which visor he'll use on Sunday. J.J. Yaley is showing speed, running 5th in the latter stages of the session, though he remarks at how slippery the surface is.
Hey, you guys talk about impressive. That certainly fits the bill for J.J. Yaley. 5th fastest in practice. How's the race car?
Car's really good right now. Real happy with the FedEx Racing Chevrolet. It was fast enough there and let me quit early. You know, the car was handling very well. Racetrack's just a little bit slippery. Had that yesterday too, so don't know if it's just the weather conditions or if the racetrack's just taking another season here. But it's losing a little bit of grip and definitely a handful.
Further back, John Wood is still in Ricky Rudd's car, which he lifts to 43rd on the charts, besting both Bobby Labonte and Hermie Sadler. Hermie is driving Front Row Motorsports number 92 Oak Glove Company Dodge, which is 2 seconds off Gordon's lap. It's a miracle the car even made it to the track. His hauler driver had trouble getting to the speedway and didn't arrive until this morning. His younger brother Elliott Sadler, the defending winner, is awarded a surfboard by the California Speedway as he's added to the track's Walk of Fame. He puts his handprints into fresh cement next to a bronze plaque at Gate 12. 9 races ago, Sadler's number 38, M&M's Ford, ranked 3rd in points, but he hasn't scored a top 5 finish since the spring race at Bristol and hasn't had a top 10 since Sears Point more than 2 months ago. He's now 13th in the standings, 34 points out of 10th. He'll also have work to do, ranking just 27th as happy hour ends. The Busch Series teams qualify at noon, where Clint Bowyer wins the pole for the AmeriQuest 300 alongside Cup regular Casey Kane in an Evernham Dodge. Kyle Busch won't compete in this race, though a week earlier he won the pole at Bristol and led 63 laps before a mid-race crash left him in 38th.
Just 2 races remain in the race to the chase. We're in Fontana, California. After Busch pole qualifying, it's time for Bud pole qualifying.
After this comes Nextel Cup qualifying. During a 15-minute delay, Steve Burns plays around with Sterling Marlin.
Steve, I'm with your boy Sterling Marlin. You want to give me a real quick impression of what Sterling would say about the race car, Steve-O?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Got it hooked up. Did you be fast?
That's exactly right.
By the way, my wife, for the record, asked Sterling Marlin, she said, does it bother you when Steve imitates you? Do you think he's making fun of me?
And his response was?
No, it's pretty damn good.
Finally, Travis Kvapil is first on track to take time. Next out is Mark Martin, who estimates he only needs a reasonable day to lock up his place in the chase.
Martin and the 6 car, they've done a lot of laps around this racetrack.
Always do, every week. He wins the award for the most laps. 38.95 for Mark on that first lap, and he'll shut it down.
That lap was, woo! That was a handful for one lap, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty cool when Kyle Busch, the king of speed, comes over shaking his head. I just laughed. I says, I'm usually old and scared, but I got a young and dumb left in me once in a while.
Those young kids were coming to ask advice for you. That's got to make you feel good.
No, not really. I think Kyle was just impressed. I guess he appreciates that some of these old men sometimes just don't quite get it done when it comes time to qualify, but that car felt good. I mean, that was really a pretty easy lap.
While Robbie Gordon, J.J. Yaley, and Tony Stewart each trade the second fastest spot, Martin's lap is so quick that he remains atop the leaderboard for most of the session. Bobby Labonte's car snaps loose in turn 1, making him slowest of the first 6 drivers. Jarrett isn't much faster. Then comes Bobby Hamilton Jr., whose number 32 Tide Chevrolet is 37th in points, meaning he must make the field on speed or be sent home.
And Bobby Hamilton Jr., the Tide car, they are a go-or-go-home car, sitting 37th in owner points.
And Larry, he was green all the way down in the middle of 3 and 4, losing it coming off of turn 4.
And turn 4 has been the Achilles heel for a lot of cars, especially back during Busch qualifying earlier, but he's going to be third quickest. That should solidly put him in this show.
Overall, it's just been a horrible year, and having to do this having to qualify into these things really put a lot of pressure on the guys, but they just keep on digging. So I just got to thank from Tide to Super 8 Motels, everybody, Chevrolet, just keeping trust in us. We're not giving up. We're just trying to get this thing better. But overall, I mean, I hope that put us in top 15 somewhere. Most important, we get to be here tomorrow night. So.
After running 11th in practice, Hamilton ranks 3rd of the first 8 qualifiers. Harvick, Marlin, and Kyle Petty run mid-pack before Kyle Busch is asked about Martin's lap.
I was very impressed with that lap. He says every once in a while the old man will come out and be a young guy and get some speed, but Mark, he's always fast anyway, and that was pretty cool to see him run that good. And if that ain't the pole, I don't know what it's going to be. That was a pretty stout lap. So
can you top that?
I don't think I can top that. No, I ran a 50 in practice, and it was decent. You know, we were a little tight in the center and a little loose off, but if we've got that problem fixed now, we can probably run a 20 or a 30 somebody, you know. Just hoping to get a good solid effort here, start somewhere up near the front. We've got a decent race car, about top 10, so hopefully we can just have a solid day, try to turn something around.
Rusty Wallace struggles around the track and ranks a disappointing 10th of the first 12 drivers. Then it's Jimmy's turn.
After that practice this morning, if he could get it done, but right now it's looking green, isn't it, my friend?
Looking real good now, like a lot of cars. He lost a little bit of ground off turn 4. Maybe going to be second quickest with this 48 Lowe's car, and he is 39.12.
Martin dodges a bullet, only to now face Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch, the pole sitter here in February. In fact, the front row 2 Hendrick cars, but not the 2 we'd normally think of. It was the younger guys, the young guns. Brian Vickers started alongside.
That might have been the way it was here in the spring, but that car, Larry McReynolds, was so loose from the middle off as far as turn 3 and 4 is concerned. I'm surprised he's going to even try to run this second lap.
Yeah, he was 10th quickest on that lap here, but remember, this is an impound race, and I think most of these teams know that these cars are going to have to be pretty free for that race tomorrow night, and I think that's the reason, along with the track being very slick, that they're so loose during this qualifying session.
Kyle breaks loose, costing him enough speed that he only ranks 10th among the first 14. Back on pit road, John Andretti is put on the 5-minute clock as the Morgan McClure Motorsports team struggles to get his number 4 Chevrolet ready to take time. Unfortunately, the crew has not asked NASCAR's John Darby for more time. On the track, the next few drivers struggle on the slippery track. Stuart Kirby ranks just 13th of the first 15 for Competitive Edge Motorsports. Casey Mears, inspired by Carl Edwards' workout regimen, breaks loose on the front stretch. P.J. Jones slips up the track in turns 1 and 2 and is in danger of sending Mach 1 Incorporated home. After Mike Bliss takes his lap, Andretti's 5-minute clock expires, meaning the Morgan McClure team will be the first car to fail to qualify, just their second DNQ of the entire season. John Wood then shakes down Ricky Rudd's car. He ranks just 17th of the first 20 drivers, but is pleased to have his car in one piece.
When I got out of it, it had a spoiler on it and a grill.
And that was the goal, right?
And stickers on both sides, yeah. That's all I wanted to do was make sure it was in one piece. It's very unfortunate that what happened with Ricky's dad, and you know, everybody's thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family, and it's just so unfortunate. I have always wanted to drive this car, and I think I can name every reason, every circumstance other than to want to get in it now. So it was not even bittersweet. It was just, you know, I was just there filling in a space that needed to be filled, and I hope that the practice that we did yesterday and today will be beneficial for him tomorrow in tomorrow's race, and we'll see what happens.
21st driver on track is Jeremy Mayfield, who ranks a strong 5th. Joe Nemechek's brand new Chevrolet has a serious left front fender rub, so much so that he worries he's damaged his valence, but he still takes 10th. Matt Kenseth takes 11th. Then Jeff Green, driving for Petty Enterprises, qualifies in 8th. The 26th driver on track was going to be Casey Kane, but it's instead Hermie Sadler, whose number 92 had been excused from their spot in line. After missing most of practice due to their delay getting to the track, it's now up to Hermie to get number 92 into the show.
Now, you bring up John Andretti, and we talked about Hermie Sadler being excused. Larry, why don't you try to explain about what it takes to get an excuse from NASCAR, because John obviously didn't get one, and he didn't get an opportunity to qualify.
Yeah, what you can do is go to competition director John Darby. If you have a problem that's going to take more time than you have to make it out for your qualifying slot, you can go to him, explain the problem. They normally will give you an excuse. But if you do not go to him and you are not excused and you do not make your time slot, it does not matter even if you have a problem in the inspection line. They put you on a 5-minute clock. If you do not make the 5-minute clock out there, then that pretty much disallows your attempt.
Larry, give us an example of what a reasonable excuse would be. You go to John Darby and say, hey, I need time for what?
Probably the biggest one would be we have an engine problem. We need to change the engine, or we have a transmission problem. We need to change the transmission. That would be the one that would be most notable. Or maybe you hit the wall in practice and you've got to repair part of the body or something.
Yeah, something's broke, such as maybe a shock eye or something on the car, and you need some time to repair that. Or you talked about the engine, not even necessarily change an engine, but maybe you broke a rocker arm. I need to fish some pieces out and change the oil and do a couple things. But you've got to get NASCAR's permission to be able to do so.
Hermie Sadler, the slowest of the cars that have attempted to qualify on that first lap, 26 quickest, he actually picks it up and bumps himself into the show by 1 spot.
The second timed lap is just enough to send P.J. Jones home, putting Hermie into the race. For Jones's Mach 1 team, it's a staggering 15th DNQ of the season and 3rd in a row with Jones. By the end of the season, Mach 1 will make just 2 more starts. Kane then makes his lap, which feels slow to him, but ends up clocking in 3rd of 28. Ryan Newman and crew focus on race setup instead of qualifying, so he gets loose in turns 1 and 2 and ranks just 18th of the first 29. The car Newman is driving is one the team hasn't run in several weeks, leaving it sitting in the corner of the shop. With his lap, the chassis remains an unproven asset. After Bill Elliott secures the 20th spot, it's time for Greg Biffle to challenge his teammate for the pole.
16 car, pretty good qualifying run so far, considering that he was quite a bit off the pace in final practice, and in fact gets it down to the pole right now through turn 3 and 4. If he can just get it off turn 4 and stay in the throttle.
Giving it back though, Larry.
Had to roll out of it just a little bit. I don't think it's going to quite be there.
Be close.
Second quickest. 1/10 off of his teammate Mark Martin in the 6 car.
Biffle comes up short by just 98 thousandths of a second and bumps his way onto the front row. After that, Mike Garvey gets Jeff Steck's car into the race, bouncing back from a DNQ in Bristol. Then it's time for Kurt Busch, 3rd in February, and the 2000 Truck Series race winner.
Come off of turn 2, head back down the back straightaway, looking very strong.
But we know we'll have to see how he gets through turn 3 and 4, because the exit of turn 4 has been the Achilles heel for a lot of cars. It's been shooting at Mark Martin, who went out early in this session. Right there, late exit all the way up on the straightaway. They just can't carry that speed there, coming up off the corner.
Second.
But it's another Roush car too, guys.
1, 2, 3.
Busch jumps to 2nd, bumping Biffle back to 3rd. And right after that, during an interview with Jeff Gordon, here comes Carl Edwards.
I know we can do it. I know we're capable of it. And, a good stretch for us. This is a good track for us. We're running good. And
it seems like this team has really come around here this weekend, especially. Both practice sessions, you backed it up.
Well, we know we've got the equipment and everything to do it with. We just haven't been able to find that combination. And right now we've seemed to have gotten a good combination for qualifying and for the race. I don't know where we're going to end up here. Mark's put a great number up. But here in Richmond, we tested Richmond. So I feel pretty good about it. We'll just see what happens.
Anchorage, Fontana, taking the points. New man on the pole.
Yeah, Matt, you can hear the crowd and Carl Edwards.
Awesome, guys. I didn't get all I could get either. That's awesome.
It is now a Roush Racing sweep of the first 2 rows, and Edwards in position to earn his first career pole in only his 38th start, already with his first 2 series wins. Incredibly, Roush has not yet won a pole at Fontana. Next out is Ken Schrader, whose nose is taped up solid for the first time all weekend.
Got a little bit of running. Whoa.
And that
big time.
out
Yes,
too
he
much.
did. Way too much right there. Shot him up the racetrack, and Kenny did a good job keeping him off the ball.
Schrader fights his way through 2 laps, jumping from 34th to 24th of the first 35 drivers. After that, Brian Vickers takes 8th, Jeff Gordon takes 6th, and as the broadcast runs long, several drivers don't get their laps shown at all, including Boris Said, Tony Raines, Scott Riggs, and Dave Blaney. Said qualifies 21st among the first 37 qualifiers, and Edwards takes a moment to congratulate him.
Roush cars right there. Congratulations to Boris Said. That's cool he's in the show.
Anxiously, Carl Edwards will wait the last few cars to see if he gets the pole here at California.
Meanwhile, Junior and McMurray trade the 37th spot, and Michael Waltrip, the last car to take time, manages just 19th. With that, Carl Edwards does score his first pole, becoming the 16th different pole sitter in the 2005 NASCAR Nextel Cup season. Still, his lap of 38.906 seconds falls short to beating Kyle Busch's track record in February. Shoring up their bid at taking half the spots in the chase, Edwards leads a top 4 sweep by Roush Racing, a first in Cup Series history. The closest this has ever been to happening was with Hendrick Motorsports at Michigan the previous June, where Jeff Gordon led Brian Vickers and Jimmy Johnson. The pressure continues to build after Saturday's Busch Series race, which Edwards wins after leading 52 laps, beating his Cup teammate Greg Biffle, who leads another 59. All signs point to Roush dominating Sunday's race and storming their way into the postseason.
NBC Sports welcomes you to California for NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing, presented by McDonald's. A hot, sunny, windy day in Fontana. 43 drivers getting ready for 500 miles on this 2-mile track.
The time has come for the Sony HD 500 at the California Speedway, the 25th race of the 2005 NASCAR Nextel Cup Series season. Sony Electronics announced they would sponsor this race back in July. As part of that deal, Sony became NASCAR's official consumer electronics product for Labor Day weekend and will make the race available in high definition. Sony has already been an associate backer of Penske Racing's number 12 team since 2001, when it came over from Robbie Gordon's number 13 team. Ryan Newman will carry the company logo in the race. This also happens to be the first NASCAR race overseen by track president Jillian Zucker, who took over for a resigning William G. Miller in July. In her first race as president, 100,000 fans arrived by car or commuter train to pack the grandstands. There, the band Everclear headlines the Miller Lite Rockin' Racing concert. And as a preview for the Indy Racing League's upcoming Toyota Indy 400 in October, Jimmy Kite runs some demonstration laps in his open-wheel car. At the start of NBC's Bank of America Countdown to Green, Bill Weber reports from his stage atop the press box. In conjunction with a new commercial featuring both drivers and Mike Hilton, Weber promotes the ongoing fundraisers for victims of Hurricane Katrina. He says, "Don't give till it hurts, just give till it feels good." Attention then turns to those battling for the last few places in the chase. We hear from Kenseth, McMurray, Sadler, and Junior. There's also an attempt to hype up Dale Jarrett's accident at Bristol, but neither he, Newman, nor Harvick have much to say about it. Benny Parsons and Wally Dallenbach debate who will be bumped from the chase field. Dallenbach says Gordon makes it. BP says Newman will instead. Marty Snyder hosts a segment about Jimmy Johnson visiting his hometown of El Cajon. Matt Yoakum talks with Jeff Gordon, who's still in disbelief about his struggles throughout the season. It's 96 degrees outside, but a stiff breeze blows across the track, threatening to stir as much debris as was seen just a few weeks ago in Michigan. Trying to avoid playing a role in the race's outcome, the track has removed most of its napkin dispensers from the fan zone. Dave Burns discusses the subject more thoroughly in a demonstration in the garage.
Any of the trash that gets kicked up onto the nose of these race cars is literally forced to stay put by the high air pressure generated from the car traveling at 185 miles per hour. And if you're unlucky enough to have a piece lodge over the grill opening that cools the car, well, Bill just showed you what can happen. So how do you take out the trash if you're a Nextel Cup driver today? Well, you've got to get that high pressure off of the nose of your car. You can do one of two things. You can come down on pit road, which means you give up your place in the race, and that's hard to make up. When you do, you slow your car down, the high pressure's gone, it falls off, or a crew member rubs it off. If you're on the racetrack and you don't want to give up that valuable position, you can slow down. You get a car to come from behind, and when that guy gets his bumper right up next to yours, the high pressure's gone and the trash falls off.
The Benny in the Pits segment features Sean Pete, one of the few crew members at the time born outside the United States. Pete hails from Canada, is a former hockey player and firefighter, and now works on the crew for Casey Mears. Then there's more interviews with Stewart, Rusty, Biffle, and Martin. After that comes the Wally's World segment, where Dallenbach gives a ride to Grand Marshal Josh Duhamel. At the time, Duhamel is promoting his role opposite James Caan in NBC's upcoming TV show Las Vegas. You might know Duhamel better as Captain Lennox in the Transformers franchise.
Hang on! Car's not handling real good today. You are out of your mind! It's pretty slippery today. You are out of your mind! Whoa! How fast are we going? Fast enough to impress the girls.
We get even more interviews with Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Brian Vickers, and Jeremy Mayfield. Mayfield recalls how exhausted he was after he won at Fontana 5 years ago, needing to receive IVs after he climbed from the car. Vickers hopes to win the race for crew chief Lance McGrew, who hails from Baton Rouge, one of the cities devastated by Katrina. During opening ceremonies, Tim Griffin from the Motor Racing Outreach performs the invocation.
We also would like to ask you to strengthen those in Louisiana and Mississippi that were affected by the hurricane last week. Our hearts go out to them. May they sense your strength and peace this day. Give wisdom to those arranging support and care for the people of that region. And finally, let us each express a concern for our neighbor in this time that will honor you. God bless America. Amen.
Josh Kelly performs the anthem, during which the flyover is performed by 4 FA-18 Super Hornets from Naval Air Weapons Station China Lake.
For the land of the free, yeah, and the home of the brave.
Then it's Duhamel's turn to give the command.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Now that's how you give the command at a NASCAR Nextel Cup race.
During the pace laps, Dallenbach speaks to Rusty, who by firing his engine has now made the field for the chase. Bill Weber takes note of the driver starting in 25th.
Row 13, rising star Kyle Busch. Could he get his first win tonight? We'll see. And Boris said, makes the race here at California, veteran road racer.
Ricky Rudd is back and starts the car John Wood qualified into the race. He now falls to the rear along with Robbie Gordon, whose team had to change the transmission. Among the last-minute stories from pit road, Dave Burns reports that all 4 Roush teammates plan to take advantage of their starting spots to swap the lead in the first 10 laps, giving each a much-needed 5 bonus points. Finally, Tommy Lasorda has the green flag in hand.
Tommy Lasorda ready to wave the green flag. He knows all about the pressure to make the playoffs, and so will you. NASCAR races from daylight to darkness on NBC.
On the break, Edwards jumps to a big lead, but Martin and Kurt are tracking him down. On lap 2, Martin's ready to take his turn up front, bringing both Kurt and Biffle with him, but also Johnson and Gordon. The Roush teams have everything in hand until turn 4.
24 car, J.J. Yaley is around, into the wall. A lot of traffic behind him. Guys diving for pit road. Caution is out.
Not a surprise to see this. I mean, just because this racetrack is so slippery right now because of the heat just pounding on it all day, bringing the oils out, the air pressures aren't up.
And this is a very inexperienced driver, and we see some damage to this FedEx car in the left rear.
I was just going to try to put a nice smooth lap down. This place is real easy to overdrive, and I tend to do that most of the time. So.
After qualifying a strong 8th, J.J. Yaley may well finish last in both the Busch and Cup races at California. He says the car felt tight in the opening laps, then jumped out from underneath him while racing Kasey Kahne. The impact destroys the left rear corner of his Chevrolet. Incredibly, he doesn't collect any other cars, including Kyle Busch and Ryan Newman, who ducked down pit road, but he rolls into the garage for lengthy repairs. McMurray makes a stop and drops to 40th. Also pitting are Jarrett, Labonte, and Stuart Kirby. Kirby's stop takes so long that he doesn't return to the track until the race restarts on lap 7, dropping him 1 lap down in 42nd. Martin still leads, but Kurt ducks under him in turn 1 to have his turn at the top spot. Biffle moves to 2nd, with Martin now back to 3rd, and Gordon is 4th ahead of Johnson. On lap 9, Biffle is all over Kurt for the lead, but can't make it past until lap 12, when he slips past in the high lane off turn 3. With that, 4 of the 5 Roush cars have led a lap. Kenseth, who started 23rd, gets into the wall on lap 10, and now drops back to 26th. Drivers report some debris on the track, but not nearly as much as at Michigan. The concern now is much more with the glare from the sun, especially through turns 3 and 4. The glare is so bright, the drivers are forced to make a gentleman's agreement to hold their line through those turns until the sun goes down. Elliott Sadler, the defending winner, has to use the palm trees on the backstretch as braking points, and off turn 4 gets so much glare in his rear view mirror that it becomes useless. Dallenbach, who struggled with the glare when he drove in Saturday's Busch race, suggests the track build more grandstands in turn 4. While Tony Stewart, the only driver among the top 7 in points without a Cup win at Fontana, has 6 layers of removable sun visors on his helmet, Ryan Newman starts the race with a clear visor. On lap 21, McMurray has climbed from 40th up to 26th, but on lap 22, Gordon has fallen out of the top 5 back to 10th, where he battles Kevin Harvick. Gordon reports the back of his car is breaking loose, forcing him to slide up the track. He's saved by the caution on lap 23 when Mike Garvey's car trails smoke off turn 4. Garvey's Ford is still under power, but soon comes down pit road for repairs, costing him 7 laps. Kirby gets his lap back in 42nd and soon climbs past Garvey into 41st. This caution also sees the leaders pit for the first time, led by Biffle and Kurt. Harvick gets a slight air pressure adjustment as his car's turning a little too well. Kurt is a little tight, so it's up 1 round in the track bar, a pound in the right rear tire, and some water for the driver. Biffle gets 2 tear-offs removed and says he's lacking overall grip. Edwards' crew takes the wedge wrench to the left rear, looking for more rear grip. Newman ran tight on the opening run, so he gets air pressure, track bar, and wedge adjustments. Biffle beats Edwards off pit road, but it's not for the lead. Kenseth stays out to lead lap 24, meaning all 5 Roush cars have now earned their 5 bonus points. Kenseth then pits and will have to restart in the 38th position. Back under green on lap 27, Biffle leads Edwards, Kurt, Johnson, and Martin. Down the backstretch, Edwards gets under Biffle for the lead and takes it, but Biffle fights back in the high lane. He can't make it stick, and instead loses 2nd to Kurt, then 3rd to Johnson. On lap 29, Biffle snaps loose in turn 1, letting Stewart go by. On lap 30, spotters notice the Chevrolets of MB2 teammates Scott Riggs and Joe Nemechek have such aggressive front valences that the left front corner drags the track, trailing smoke. Their crew chiefs aren't worried, and say it only means that their drivers are racing as hard as they can. Gordon plummets to 16th, saying his car is now running even looser. He's now holding up a 3-car pack of Labonte, Scott Wimmer, and Elliott Sadler. By lap 34, Kirby has another long stop and drops 3 laps down to the leaders. On lap 42, Junior is running 23rd, his car tight on exit. Kenseth has climbed from 38th to 25th. But Jeff Gordon is now a distant 34th, a full 20.5 seconds back of the leader, and now 13th in the point standings. Then, just after commercial, he gets another big break.
That is Carl Edwards, the race leader, has just spun.
Come on, baby, hold her over there. Wow, did not hit the wall.
Lock it down, lock it down.
That's real important. His left rear is flat, but I'll tell you what, him not hitting the wall, BP, he may be able to get away with one.
Oh, I'm telling you, that's unbelievable.
The caution is out.
On lap 47, race leader Carl Edwards feels his left rear tire go down, but he can't keep from spinning in nearly the same spot as Yaley. Unlike Yaley, he somehow manages to not hit anything. He pits on the closed pit road, handing the lead to Kurt Busch. The tail end penalty will keep Edwards behind the leaders, even after they pit the next time by. Harvick is tight off the corner but loose in, so he gets an air pressure adjustment. Johnson is too tight, saying the front end needs to roll better in the center of the corner, so he gets air pressure and wedge adjustments. Biffle calls for more grip. He doesn't want another tear-off used so early, so the crew cleans his windshield instead. During his stop, Biffle's tire changer, Joe Slingerland, accidentally disengages his air gun from its hose, causing a delay in changing the left rear tire. This drops Biffle to 14th, while Kurt, after a quick track bar adjustment, holds off Stewart at pit exit to keep the lead. McMurray tries staying out to get 5 bonus points, but Biffle leads the lap instead. McMurray must make his stop after everyone else, dropping him back once again to 37th. Yaley returns to the track, his damaged car 44 laps down, and looks to catch 42nd place Kirby, who's now out of the race with brake issues. Garvey is 19 laps down and 41st after the smoking issue on the Jeff Steck number 66. Back under green on lap 51, Kurt and Stewart pull away from the field down the backstretch, and Stewart works over Kurt for the lead. 2 laps later, Gordon is still in 31st, and Edwards remains 38th after his spin. But on the move is Kyle Busch, who is up to 5th, then 4th the next time by. On the lap after comes the first report of Kyle's progress.
Dave, how about Kyle Busch?
Yeah, pretty good race car for Kyle right now. It is the same car that he had at Michigan with one noticeable exception. Can you tell what it is on the front of the car? You know, trash on the grill, Bill.
There you go.
He made an air pressure adjustment the last time in just to keep up with the track, but he really couldn't think of how to fix the car much more than just watch out that we don't tighten up too much.
Not far ahead, Johnson smacks the wall off turn 4. It doesn't seem to slow him down as he continues to stalk Stewart for the second spot, then gets it on lap 56. But Stewart takes it back as Kyle catches them both, Kyle getting under Johnson in turn 4 to take the third position. Behind them, Kenseth is up to 18th, but says he's so loose he might have a tire going down. Junior is in 19th, and Edwards is still feeling out his car in 34th. Biffle is also trying to make up ground, but his car is so tight that he's locking it down with the steering wheel. On lap 59, Casey Mears makes an unscheduled stop for a vibration, his family watching concerned from the grandstands. Junior takes 17th from Rusty off turn 4. On lap 62, Vickers battles Johnson for 4th as a surprising Sterling Marlin is catching them both for the 6th spot. Marlin has made no adjustments on either of his first 2 stops and has the fastest Dodge on the track. On lap 68, NBC performs its first Through the Field segment, where Kurt continues to lead over Stewart and Kyle. Biffle fights his way up to 8th on lap 70, and Michael Waltrip breaks into 10th on lap 71, his crew having made an air pressure adjustment to keep up with the changing track. On lap 72, Kenseth passes Sadler for 11th, with Wimmer in 13th and Rusty in 15th. Nemechek holds 16th after air pressure, wedge, and track bar adjustments on both his stops. Rudd is up to 19th after starting in the back. Jarrett has made 3 stops, but none have fixed a terrible tight condition. On lap 76, Edwards has recovered to 26th, but Gordon is still in 30th. Back up front on lap 77, Kurt still leads, but Kyle zips under Stewart for the 2nd spot as the race goes to commercial. By the end of the Nextel Fan of the Week segment on the USO donating tickets to combat veterans and their families, Kyle has blasted past his brother Kurt and into the lead on lap 82. On lap 85, as Kyle's about to lap Hermie Sadler, NBC airs an interview about Kyle's pursuit of his first Cup win.
Still trying to get that first Nextel Cup victory, and it has been a battle for Kyle.
Frustration, definitely. I mean, it always sets in that you're running well and you're doing everything you need to be doing, and you can do that. But the frustration just overwhelms everything, being as though you can't get to victory lane. You know, you can run so well and do so many good things, but one little bad thing will just tear your day apart. And we've had that as of late, and you know, the team's been getting stronger, and I've been getting stronger as well as a driver, just trying to overcome those balances of things on all the bad things that'll come about to you.
And he has had some bad luck, but you really like his chances of getting to victory lane.
I do. I said it a while back. I said that boy's going to be in victory lane, and it's not going to be too long. He's been running good all year. Obviously, he's showing the speed and learning a lot. So, yep, he's going to win some races.
Could be tonight.
Hermie pits as Kyle continues to lap more cars. First Garvey, then Said, and Yaley drops Kirby to last place. It's the second last place finish of Kirby's career. On lap 91, Stewart takes second from Kurt. The singular poll asks fans how Jarrett should have been penalized for his tangle with Newman at Bristol. NASCAR docked him 2 laps that night. Winning the poll with 40% of the vote is no penalty at all. On lap 93, Hermie Sadler has a mechanical problem off turn 2. He pulls to the infield, trying to make it to a nearby opening, but he stalls just a few feet away, drawing the 4th caution of the race. He'll fall to 42nd, out with brake failure. The caution comes at the right time for Boris Said, who gets the lucky dog, but too late for both Harvick and Rusty, who each pitted just before the yellow, each thinking they had a tire going down. Both are now a lap down. Kyle Busch leads the field into the pits. He gets no adjustments, but brother Kurt is still tight in turns 1 and 2, so he gets a half pound of air out of the left side tires and a half pound out of the right rear. Both Martin and Stewart get slight adjustments. Martin swings wide to block Kurt, but Kyle makes it past both of them in the right lane. Meanwhile, the hood goes up on Johnson's car. When he hit the wall in turn 4, he damaged the right front shock, so crew chief Chad Knaus tells the crew to swap it out. Back under green on lap 99, Rusty and Harvick restart in front of the leaders, along with Mears, who made his own unscheduled stop earlier in the race. This creates a traffic jam for Stewart, who leads Martin and the Busch brothers. While Rusty falls back, Harvick keeps in touch with the leaders, while Mears is pulled away on pure pace. By lap 104, the sun is set far enough behind the billboards that turns 3 and 4 are now in shade, turns 1 and 2 still in full sun. On lap 108, Johnson is recovered to 26th with his new right front shock. McMurray is up to 20th, Gordon still 19th, and Edwards up to 18th after his spin. On lap 115, the caution falls for debris, letting Mears make up the rest of his deficit to the leaders and giving Harvick the lucky dog. Back on pit road, Kyle now needs an air pressure adjustment so his car is more secure in the center of the corner. Kurt is loose everywhere now, so he gets several air pressure adjustments. Gordon has a lengthy stop to get a spring rubber pulled. Martin has a quick stop. Stewart's is faster, but both are beaten by Michael Waltrip, who takes 2 tires and jumps 14 positions into the lead. This pleases Rusty, who feels he can get past Michael easily and get his lap back, but it doesn't work out that way.
Rusty doesn't take off really quick. And now Michael's going to be in front of him and block him.
Okay, that didn't work out the way I figured.
Neither did your prediction about the 24 car. So
wait,
oh,
that's
my.
I think we're 4 wide off 2. Martin getting a little aggressive down there.
Said in the countdown it was about the chase, but right now it's all about the race. Martin inside of Rusty going into 3.
Wow. Just moved up the racetrack. Matt, what's he saying?
BP, he is on the move. His spotter, Eddie Pardue, warned him about the 15's tires to take it easy till we can work our way around him. He's also telling Pat Tryson, the sun is almost down, the track is almost completely in shade, so that way they can stay ahead of the track changes.
As Mikey plummets through the field, Stewart regains the lead over Martin, with Biffle moving up to 3rd. On lap 123, Kenseth is in the top 5 and battling Kurt for 4th, both of them reeled in by Vickers in 6th and Kyle in 7th. On lap 125, Kurt slides up the track in turn 1, letting Biffle move past, and on the halfway lap, Kyle takes 5th from Kenseth. Back from commercial, TNT's Team Tylenol Safety Fact focuses on NASCAR mandated tethers for the wheels, hood, and deck lid. Then comes another round of Through the Field, featuring this segment on a now 4th place Kyle.
Kyle Busch wanted his car to turn better in the middle of the corner. Oh, it's turning better all right. His last quote, holy cow, I gotta drive this thing.
Sterling Marlin has still yet to call for any adjustments, but is managing to keep up with the track, and on lap 136 takes the 7th spot from Vickers. Scott Riggs is up to 9th, joined by teammate Nemechek in 13th. Johnson is rebounded to 12th, with Edwards in 16th. Further back, Scott Wimmer's team had to undo an air pressure adjustment in the front tires that made him too loose. Mears is up to 20th after getting his lap back the hard way, 1 spot ahead of a struggling Jarrett. Waltrip is dropped to 25th on his old tires, but is still 5 spots ahead of his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. Jr. remarks his car feels like a Sherman tank, his engine running like a diesel. It feels like it's going to blow at any moment. On lap 144, an ill-handling Kurt brings out the next caution when he cuts down a right front tire and spins through the infield grass, finally giving Rusty his lap back. Stewart leads the field in for another round of stops. Kenseth doesn't get any adjustments, and neither does Martin, who says his car is nearly perfect. Newman needs to be looser, so the team turns around on the track bar. Stewart gets a small wedge adjustment on the left front corner. He blasts out of his stall, but is this time beaten by Kenseth, with Martin 3rd, Kyle 4th, and Marlin now up to 5th. We are back underway with 102 laps to go. The track now nearly in full darkness, its lights shining. Kenseth leads Stewart, and the still-lapped Boris Said loses ground on the inside line. The next time by, Stewart gets under Kenseth in turn 1, and Kyle is working over Martin for 3rd. Stewart gets the lead, but already has to contend with Kyle, who is dispensed with the 2 Roush cars. Stewart has run his fastest lap of the night, but Kyle is closing quickly.
And he's just 20 years old in his 31st career start in the Nextel Cup Series. How about Stewart giving off some sparks there, AB? Oh, hang on a second.
All right.
Hang on a second for the lead.
There it is.
That's how we do it.
It's Kyle's crew on the radio. Kyle Busch to the lead.
Thanks to a careful adjustment, Kyle's car is the fastest it's been all night and soon builds a commanding lead. By the end of the next commercial break, he's leading Stewart by open track, with Kenseth and Martin even further behind. With 88 to go, Edwards has climbed back to 8th, Newman is 10th, and Kurt is 22nd. But Elliott Sadler is running too tight, dropping him to 17th ahead of 18th place McMurray, 19th place Gordon, and 23rd place Jarrett. The next caution falls with 86 to go after Mike Bliss spins the Haas car off turn 2. Once again, the car has lost control without hitting anything, and Bliss makes it to pit road. The caution comes out at a perfect time for Ricky Rudd, who's been running around the 13th spot. Rudd felt like one of his tires was going soft, and after his stop, his crew finds a slow leak in the left front. This also helps Boris, who again gets his lap back. Kenseth considers taking 2 tires, but takes 4 instead. Newman needs to be a little tighter, but doesn't call for any adjustments, expecting the track to change as it cools. Martin gets a chassis adjustment and a tear-off, his near-perfect car now too loose. Stewart gets air out of the left rear and into the right rear. Again, Kenseth beats Stewart out of the pits as Kyle drops to 4th. Edwards is up to 6th. Meanwhile, Kyle Petty goes to the garage with a blown engine, taking 41st. Coming to the restart with 81 to go, Stewart has led the most laps with 51, followed by Kurt with 39 and Kyle with 26. But to lead any more, all will have to get back around Kenseth. Stewart does this heading into turn 3. With 79 to go, Kyle is up to 2nd and once again tracks down Stewart. The next time by, he gets under him into turn 1.
They just haven't made the gains on the 24. There goes Kyle Busch on the low side of Tony Stewart.
Oh, wow, made it look easy.
For the second time tonight, Kyle has driven through the leaders and built up an advantage over Stewart. Behind him, Casey Kane is now on the march, climbing from 11th to 4th since the restart. At the same time, teammate Bill Elliott slows off turn 4 and makes it to pit road. Elliott's car is overheating, and he pulls off the track with engine issues, taking 40th. With 68 to go, Kenseth gets under Stewart for 2nd, and the next time by, the surging Kane takes 3rd. Gordon is starting to run better, finally, but he's still in 14th and still battling Newman for position. It's all the more frustrating to Gordon that Newman's car is way too free, the driver needing to wait on it before getting on the gas, but that car is still faster than his. Aflac's Cue the Duck segment comes next, asking who is the only driver to win at the California Speedway and go on to win the championship in the same year. The answer is Gordon in 1997. Back from commercial with 59 to go, Kane is battling Stewart for second, but Kyle Busch leads by over 2 seconds. The youngster asks his team if this is a 400-mile race. His team tells him if he keeps running the way he is, he'd be able to win an 800-mile race. Stewart retakes second over Kenseth as Kane falls back. Martin says he's still extremely loose. Both Biffle and Johnson think they have a tire going down, but keep going. Kurt's running 11th, but his car jumps 2 lanes up the track every time he gets on the gas. Mears drives through these poor handling cars and takes the 10th spot. With 52 to go, Boris Said now has a big patch of blue tape over his left front fender. His night gets worse when he loses a left front tire and spins in turn 2, drawing the 8th caution of the night. He's barely able to stay ahead of the pace car as he makes his way back to the pits. Tony Raines gets a lap back in the John Carter entry, the number 37 Patron Tequila Dodge. Now on the edge of their window to make it the rest of the way, everyone comes in for fuel. Kenseth gets 4 tires and no chassis adjustments. Johnson gets wedge and air pressure adjustments, his car both loose and tight. Martin gets a further chassis adjustment as his handling starts to improve. Gordon gets an air pressure adjustment to the left rear. It's again Kenseth first off pit road, this time over Kyle. Kyle's crew has had great stops tonight, but can't figure out why they're still losing spots, forcing their driver to get them back on the track. Alan Gustafson says, "Hey, you guys know that 17 team is the one to beat every week. Don't worry about it." There are 45 laps to go. Kyle sets after Kenseth, the pair pulling away from third place Stewart. Now Kyle runs his fastest lap of the night. With 41 to go, he looks under Kenseth in turns 1 and 2, then shoots past into turn 3. An instant later, Junior's car erupts in a massive cloud of white smoke. His engine has finally let go, and with it goes his last hopes of making the chase for 2005. His car trails a line of oil as it pulls behind the wall.
Mathematically, the championship is over, Junior. How's that make you feel?
Championship's been over for at least 80 laps, man. Our car was horrible. Glad it's over with. Ready to go to Richmond. We tested there and hopefully we can get a good run. We'll try to get some wins before this year's out. And I promise my fans that next year we'll be back in Victory Lane where they'll have something to cheer about.
Somewhat a sense of relief for Dale Earnhardt Jr. as the championship hopes are now over.
Junior drops to 38th, just ahead of the damaged Yaley in 39th. Raines gets a second lap back, putting him on the same lap as the leaders. This time, the top 15 drivers stay out, keeping Kyle up front. Among those staying out is Kane, who crew chief Tommy Baldwin wanted to pit, but the driver overruled him. The first car on fresh tires is Mears, who only loses a couple positions back to 16th and looks primed and ready to challenge the leaders. But shortly after the restart, his sway bar breaks, and he plummets to 34th. Mears will finish in 32nd. Further ahead, Newman passes Gordon for the 12th spot, retaking 10th in the chase standings. Gordon stayed out and is paying the price. Kane, on the other hand, is on the move again. With 30 to go, he takes 6th from Martin, then 5th from Johnson. With 28 to go, Edwards takes 2nd from Kenseth and sets his sights on Kyle Busch. Kyle still leads coming back from commercial, and with 22 to go, is lapping Mears. With 19 to go, many of the chase hopefuls are struggling. Gordon has dropped to 28th. Harvick is as loose as McMurray is tight. Harvick's team has tried putting the rear tires on the front and the fronts on the rear, but even that hasn't helped. With 17 to go, Stewart looks under Edwards for second. With 10 to go, Newman has dropped to 19th as his handling has gone away. Then, with just 8 laps to go, the caution falls for debris. Nerves run high in the 5 pit. Kyle radios his team, saying, "I swear there's something wrong with this thing." When he comes into his pit, he overdrives his stall and parks too close to the wall, so close they can't get the jack under the left side. Gustafson calls an audible for 2 tires instead of 4 and sends him on his way. Kenseth also gets 2 tires, as do Biffle, Vickers, Edwards, and Waltrip. Newman takes 4 along with air pressure adjustments. Martin takes 4 in a chassis adjustment, and a 29th place Gordon takes 4 with a desperate chassis adjustment on the left rear. But there are now new faces up front. Robbie Gordon stays out along with Jeff Green, putting them at the head of the single file line for a drop finger restart. Kyle Busch holds third, the first car on 2 tires ahead of Biffle with his 4. The green flag flies with just 7 laps to go.
Well, he'll get past rather quickly, and so will Jeff Green. Kyle Busch got a good restart right here, but he's only taken 2 tires, so he needs a good restart. He needs to get out as far as he can before these guys with 4 tires start hooking up.
7 laps to go. Kyle Busch around Robbie Gordon for the lead.
He did exactly what he needed to do, Kyle Busch, in that 5 car.
Kyle retakes the lead with Vickers now ripping second away from Biffle.
Matt Kenseth in the 17 on the inside.
Man, look at these cars on the back. That's Kurt Busch below the line on the inside of Michael Waltrip. Takes the spot away.
Oh, Mark Martin slams the door.
Further back, Gordon is still in 27th and Newman in 21st. With 5 to go, Kyle has a monster lead over Biffle, but Kenseth has the fastest car on the track. Just then, there's trouble in turn 2.
Action is out. Scott Riggs.
22, is that Wimmer?
Dale Jarrett. That was Wimmer, you're right.
Looked like the 88, didn't it?
Yeah, it did look like the 88 when he went in there, but it was Scott Wimmer, Caterpillar car.
Working their way through turns 1 and 2, Marlin comes up into the left rear of Riggs, causing Riggs to wash up into Robbie, who clobbers the outside wall. Also collected are both Wimmer and Jeff Burton, who join Robbie and Riggs in finishing 31st or worse. After a hot 500-mile race, this one will end with a green-white checkered finish. As he nervously awaits the restart, seeing Biffle and his 4 fresh tires in his rearview mirror, Kyle Busch says he's thinking about Richmond the previous year, when he also had to hold off Biffle on 2 tires. Rick Hendrick gets on the radio. "You beat him that night," he says. "You'll beat him again tonight."
Boy, they were really spread out there.
A good start, though. Got 4 or 5 car lengths in between him and Biffle right now.
Tony Stewart on the inside of Matt Kenseth trying to take away a spot. Couldn't make it.
Kyle gets a huge run through turns 1 and 2 and opens a big gap on Biffle. The battle now for third between Kenseth and Vickers. On the last lap, Stewart gets past Kenseth. Edwards breaks loose in turn 4. McMurray squeezes out an 8th place run ahead of Rudd in 9th and Nemechek in 10th. But up front, the California Speedway welcomes NASCAR's newest first-time winner.
Through turns 3 and 4. Tomorrow, the headlines will say Busch won at California.
Here it is.
But it'll be Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch wins at California.
Yeah, get it, get it, get it. Yes, Central Cup winner by 4 days, Kyle Busch, baby. Yeah.
Dave Burns.
You talked about Kyle Busch being 20 years old. Here's his young crew chief, Alan Gustafson. What about that run for Kyle?
Unbelievable, unbelievable. I just got to thank everybody at Kellogg's, Hendrick Motorsports, all that 525 team. Awesome effort, you know. It's a team effort. Kyle Busch drove his heart out. CarQuest, GMAC, Delphi, everybody supported us. Long time coming. We really wanted to get Kyle that youngest winner record, and we just barely got it, so we feel good.
All right, go celebrate. Alan runs across the wall with the rest of his team. Kyle's out there doing donuts, Bill.
Thank you, David. Chevrolet congratulates Kyle Busch and the 5 team on today's win in their Monte Carlo. The defending manufacturer's champion takes win number 569 overall. Chevy, the revolution races on.
He's not on fire, is he?
And as he gets unstrapped from the car, Big Brother is leaning in the window, sharing a congratulatory thought.
Proud of you, buddy.
And stepping back to let young brother Kyle have his moment in the spotlight as he has scored his first NASCAR Nextel Cup Series win tonight here in California. We heard from Kyle earlier in the evening about the frustration at being so close to winning and not being able to just find a way to victory lane. He's here now. That's Rick Hendrick, the team owner. Kyle, we talked earlier this weekend about the frustration at not quite being able to get that first win. You've gotten it now. What are your thoughts?
It's unbelievable. You know, for how much joy we're able to share here for a first Nextel Cup win, I still want to be able to dedicate it to all those folks down in Louisiana and Mississippi. I mean, it's a terrible devastation that they've had to go through. And hey, Mr. H, hey.
Calling for Rick Hendrick.
We're going to donate your share and my share of these winnings to the Red Cross for the foundation down there.
Absolutely.
There you go. So I saw Carl Edwards do that last night. I thought that was a first-class act, and we want to do the same. That's awesome. So I can't say enough about the chassis shop, body shop, everybody from sweeping floors all the way up to Mr. H. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Everybody takes so much effort to get here, and we finally got here.
Were you concerned when they called you down pit road for tires on that last caution, looking around trying to see what other people were doing? Did you know what was going on in the car?
They were actually saying stay out. Alan was saying stay out, and I thought I ran over something, and the right front was getting softer in the late going. And my nerves were just getting to me. I hope my grandma's sitting down now because I know hers are getting to her. But still, I mean, it was, you know, we came down pit road there, and everybody else followed us. And I was like, cool, you know, this is going to be all right. And then I slid through the box a little bit and got too close to the wall, and Alan made an awesome call there right in the mid-pit stop and called for 2 tires, and that was it. That's exactly what got us that win today.
Congratulations.
Thanks, that's awesome. Appreciate it.
Kyle Busch, a first-time Nextel Cup Series winner.
At just 20 years, 4 months, and 2 days old, Kyle Busch becomes the youngest winner in the history of the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. He beats the previous record held by Donald Thomas, himself the younger brother of a champion, Herb Thomas. On November 16, 1952, Donald won his only Grand National race at the Lakewood Speedway in Atlanta. At the time, he was just 4 days older than Busch. Had Busch's first win not come until the following Saturday in Richmond, the record would have stayed with Donald until 2009, when Joey Logano set the current record at New Hampshire. Kyle leads 95 laps, the most of anyone in the race, and will win once more that November in Phoenix. This, of course, is just the beginning.
Y'all ready for the Kyle Busch show?
I think Kyle Busch is going to win this race. He might be leading by the time they take the white.
Kyle Busch looks high. They go through 3 and 4. Here comes Jack Sprague up high, and here comes Johnny Benson. Benson's going to slide out of 4th. Sprague's going to slide out of 4th, and Kyle Busch is going to win this race.
Here comes his brother Kyle to the inside.
Going for the wire. It is going to be a spinning Logano, and the win goes to Busch.
Oh, and he almost saved it, and he did. Oh, my goodness.
We got it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Kyle Busch is going to win barely.
Here comes the 18. He puts the ball in the back of him.
If you don't like that kind of racing, don't even watch.
Ever since I was a kid, I dreamt of this, man. Yes.
Kyle Busch, get out the broom. You just swept at Bristol.
If you love you some Rowdy, let me hear you go. Boom. The need to drive right out there on that crispy edge. The crispy edge.
No one has battled through as much pain and had as much perseverance as 30-year-old Kyle Busch. Tonight he earns his first Cup title, second Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series championship.
Hey, guess what? The number 8 special. Free chicken tenders at Cheddar's on Monday. Hey. So this night was just really fun. You know, great experience for me to be able to race against my son. That's pretty cool. 9 years old, hanging with the big dogs up front.
Had you.
Almost had me, but finished 6th in his debut race here at Millbridge in the A-Class cars. So proud of you and all the things that you've done and what you've accomplished. So good job. And yeah, just thanks to Lucas Oil and Serve Pro and all the guys at KBM for building us some fast cars and letting us go race and have some fun.
Yep. I got your hat.
Why do these moments never get old, Kyle?
Because you never know when the last one is.